Hello, good afternoon and welcome to News at 1 on Metro TV. We are coming to you live from our studios here in Laboni, Accra. My name is KWASI AFRIYIE. Let's have a look at the top stories for this afternoon. Minority in Parliament describes as unconstitutional attempts by local government ministers to circumvent the standing orders of MMDAs by allowing assemblies to unilaterally elect one of their colleagues as presiding member. Former Attorney General and anti-corruption crusader Amidu stirs another controversy by alleging that government-sponsored aremeyaw to investigate the judiciary. In sports, football experts gather at the Ghana Center of Excellence for the GFA's 22nd Ordinary Congress. And gunmen launched a deadly attack in Burundi's capital, resulting in the killing of at least 9 people. Which camera? Well, so those were the headlines. Let's get into the details of the bulletin now. And the minority in Parliament has described as illegal and unconstitutional attempts by the local government minister to circumvent the standing orders of MMDAs by allowing assemblies to unilaterally elect one of their colleagues as presiding member. Deputy Ranking Member of the Committee on Local Government, KWASI AFRIYIE, told a news conference today the action is full breach of Article 244 of the Constitution. Right, so we'll move on with some other stories and bring you a video to that story later on. And former Attorney General Amidu is stirring another controversy. Mr. Amidu, who is now an anti-corruption crusader, alleges government-sponsored aremeyaw to investigate the judiciary. He claims this followed the acrimonious relations between the two parties when NDC assumed power in 2009. He, however, alleges that President Mahama has been selective with the release of the results. Here are some extracts.
In his latest statement, Martin Amidu said, "I have said that the undercover investigation that led to the judicial corruption expose was commissioned by the government of Ghana and has its genesis in the acrimonious relationship between the government and the judiciary on the assumption of power in 2009 by the government and a constant demand by the judiciary for proof of judicial corruption from government and its associates. I was presidential advisor on legal affairs in the second half of 2009 and was Minister for the Interior in 2010 and the Attorney General in 2011 before I left office in 2012. I therefore knew what I was talking about." He also stated, "What I did not know was that the method of exposing corruption in the judiciary and parliament was going to be through commissioning covert anti-corruptionpreneurs as government agents to secretly collaborate with established security agencies to allow for possible deniability. But I did not think that the late President Mills intended to suppress the results of the parliamentary corruption investigation by compromising it and using only the results of the judicial corruption investigations to damnify the judiciary, knowing quite well that whatever results to be obtained will only be a tip of the iceberg. Unfortunately, Professor Mills died before his commission could be fulfilled, and his successor, John Dramani Mahama, has chosen to use the results selectively to suppress other results, particularly the parliamentary one whose video is ready, available to the government, and has, with its permission, been viewed secretly by the leadership of one branch of government, which is pleased to participate in the criminal conspiracy and unconditional conduct of suppressing it from the public to protect its image. I refuse to condone such conduct and right in exercise of my right to freedom of speech and to defend the Constitution under Article 3 thereof." In conclusion, he said, the government ought to be congratulated for its ingenuity in being able to suppress part of the truth and to turn the displeasure of public anger away from political corruption to only judicial corruption and to take all the credit. The ingenuity, however, becomes farcical on the Attorney General grants immunity and protection to Entrepreneurial Government Commission undercover agents who collaborate with established security agencies as independent whistleblowers under the Whistleblowers Act 2006 Act 720 and contrary to the prohibition of the Police Service Private Security Organizations Regulations 1992 LI 1571.
Well, so that was a former Attorney General making some forms of allegations. Let's turn our attentions now to the New Patriotic Party, where the Odododiodio constituency NPP party executives are blaming the party's constituency chairman for being part of a group who mobilized the youth for a constituency to demonstrate against the party's decision to suspend Paul Afoko. My colleague David Atto was in the constituency earlier today.
Has been, as usual in every political party, accusations and counter-accusations. In our case, it has paved way for saboteurs from within and without to launch malicious and reckless agenda to bring the name of our dear party into disrepute, contempt, and public ridicule in the eye of unsuspecting public. Unfortunately, our constituency, odododiodio, has been used as recruiting grounds to mobilize tax and youth, irrespective of their political affiliation, foment troubles. This mobilization, unfortunately, was masterminded by a group of few irresponsible individuals. The parliamentary candidate, executive members, zonal coordinators, and the entire party members wish to condemn in no uncertain terms the gross disrespect and disregard of the National Executive Committee decision by these irresponsible individuals. We therefore dissociate ourselves as a party in the constituency from these individuals who acted in their own selfish and parochial. We are law-abiding people. We respect the decision of our party and will continue to uphold and defend this decision and other decisions of the party. Call on those in the constituency who allow themselves to be used for this dangerous operation to resist, else nemesis will catch up with them. We also call on the party leadership to make those involved in these dangerous and disgraceful acts face the full rigors of the law as our party enshrine.
Well, so we stay with the New Patriotic Party, where some constituency chairmen who were involved in last week's protest at their party's headquarters to demand the reinstatement of Paul Afoko have also been suspended. The suspended four are the constituency chairman for Asawase, Jeso, Formina, and the Ahafuano South East constituencies. Over 200 Afoko loyalists from some parts of the country converged at the party's headquarters last Thursday to present their petition. Some of them later held a news conference threatening mass resignations if their concerns are not addressed. And now, the Ashanti Region branch of the governing National Democratic Congress has debunked media reports that one of its members was involved in the stabbing incident at Asawase last week. Here are extracts of the statement.
In a statement signed by Samed Akalilu, Communications Director for the region, the NDC said, the attention of the Ashanti Regional Chapter of the governing NDC has been drawn to the above vicious, malicious and misleading headline of a news report making round on various news portals. In the said publication, the characters behind this Machiavellian tactics allege that among the individuals purported to be at large in connection with the unfortunate gruesome murder of Sadiq Abubakar was an NDC member whose name they failed to mention. We see this as a subtle attempt by the NPP to equalize the marauding cannibalism which has engulfed their ailing political tradition lately. The statement goes on to say, this scheme comes after a failed attempt to deceive Ghanaians that the Ahafuano North constituency chairman of the NDC was killed by a fellow party man a few weeks ago. The statement continues, we wish to state emphatically that so far per our checks in the Asawase constituency, no NDC member was involved in the dastardly act which sent the innocent NPP young man to his ancestral home. Physical attacks on fellow human beings, including such barbaric killings as witnessed lately within the NPP, are not just immoral and disdainful, but criminal. The statement called on security agencies to conduct their investigation expeditiously and bring perpetrators to book.
Meanwhile, the NDC's Regional Vice Secretary George Wilson Kingston admits it's too early to conclude none of their members was involved, but says the police has equally not disclosed the identity of suspects they are following to anyone.
Of the rule of law, it is only fair that we allow the police to conduct their investigations, and we are urging the police to do that with alacrity, with expedition, so they are able to bring perpetrators of this heinous crime to law. So the law will act expeditiously to serve as deterrent to persons who may want to conduct themselves in a light manner.
Is it not too early for you to conclude that none of the 4 suspects or more the police is chasing could be an NDC member?
What we are saying is that indeed, in the last election, more than 5 million Ghanaians voted for the President John Dramani Mahama. And so if you take 90% of that to be active members of the party or members of the party, you are looking at not less than 4 million Ghanaians. So if you just say NDC member was involved, we do not think that it's fair reportage. But our concerns have to even be with the media banter and the media, if you like, angle of the story. We are just saying that, look, name the person. The reason we've done our preliminary checks from the party, because if you are a member of the party, what it simply means is that you are a registered member, and the party's rules and regulations, you are an active member, you pay your dues, you identify with the party, so forth and so on. And I'm just saying that per our initial checks from the constituency, nothing of that points to the fact that a member of the party was involved. Indeed, we are all aware that in recent times there have been a lot of podcast turmoils within the NPP. Just about 2 weeks ago, they have tried as a party, I'm talking about the NPP, to equalize the atrocities within their party. If indeed, at the end of the day, the police have found any person, irrespective of his or her political party, that was involved in such a carnage, we don't just think that the law must act so that such impunity will not be tolerated in the country. I have not heard from the police. And so our concern has to do with the media angle, especially the angle our political opponents, the NPP, are struggling to push to equalize. What we are saying is that.
Well, let's go back to an earlier story which says the minority in parliament has described as illegal and unconstitutional attempts by local government minister to circumvent the standing orders of MMDAs by allowing assemblies to unilaterally elect one of their colleagues as presiding member. Deputy ranking member of the Committee on Local Government, KWASI Afriyiie, told a news conference today the action is in full breach of Article 244 of the Constitution.
Members of the press, let me take this opportunity to welcome all of you and to thank you for responding to our call. It has come to our notice that the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, by a circular, proposed to amend Order 10.7 of the Model Standing Orders of the District, Municipal and Metropolitan Assemblies to enable an assembly to elect one of its members to preside over the assembly if the members are unable to elect a presiding member. The combined effect of these provisions is that no assembly meeting can be convened and conducted in the absence of a substantive presiding member. The only exception is where the secretary to the assembly, the district coordinating director, is empowered by Order 1 of the standing orders of the district assemblies to convene the inaugural meeting at which the presiding member is to be elected. Members of the press, where the assembly fails or is unable to elect a presiding member, the secretary to the assembly shall convene subsequent meeting or meetings for the purpose only until a presiding member is duly elected. It is instructive, therefore, members of the press, to note that even with the National Assembly, that is Parliament, Article 101 provides that, and I quote, "The Speaker shall preside in Parliament at all sittings."
You are live on Metro News at 1. More stories coming up, including sports. Please don't go away. You're welcome back from that break. This is Metro News at 1. Let's do some more stories now. And the Ghana ICT Chamber is calling on government to reserve the ICT space for local companies who have already invested over $200 million into the 4G Lite data services market. The chamber argues that the opening the issuance of BWA licenses to foreign companies by the NCA will destroy local business such as Surfline while foreign companies profit.
Of the ICT chamber, and you're asking government to look into the issues with respect to your chamber. What are you asking government to do with regards to the ICT local content or local industry?
We want government to maintain the status quo of 2013. What happened in 2013 is that government issued the licenses for the first 4G rollout, and government said that this was going to be left for local companies, and the local companies participated in it and they bid for it and they began rolling out. The companies did that on the basis that the next generation, which is the cheaper one to roll out and easier to penetrate across the country, was going to be available for them within the same context of indigenization. We find that the letters that went out from the NCA inviting people for the bid had removed the exclusivity that they gave local companies in the first one. That's worrying because the telcos are going to be able to bid higher, and we're going to lose a critical part of the ICT industry. We will never be able to set up a local ICT industry to help all our people.
What challenge does this present to our economy, where we've seen already in the petroleum sector that the upstream is dominated by foreign companies? Of course, they have the expertise to deliver.
We're not asking the ICT industry to be just local companies. We know what has happened in the past in Ghana. Over the last 20 years, foreign companies have dominated the voice and the fixed broadband and mobile broadband, which gave them 3G, and they've made significant amount of money in that. We don't want to say they've repatriated the money, but in fact they have. We are thinking that this next generation of telephony, of ICT, concerned with mobile operations, which is really the big deal, because very soon nobody's going to make calls and pay for it anymore. People are going to make calls on the internet by WhatsApp, etc., etc. We're going to do a lot by sending pictures and video, etc., etc. We want that industry to be controlled by Ghanaians.
Well, let's move away from that now. And Bishop of the Accra Diocese Wesley Methodist Cathedral, Right Reverend Samuel Kofi Osabute, is charging Christians to channel their energy towards contributing to the nation's development and desist from social vices, including internet fraud, gayism, and lesbianism. He was speaking at an induction ceremony in his honor as the 5th Bishop of Wesley Methodist Cathedral in Accra.
The new Bishop, Samuel Kofi Osabute, began his 31 years in the ordained ministry of the Methodist Church of Ghana. He was commissioned as minister in June 1985 and subsequent ordination in August 1988. He also served the church as a circuit minister, youth organizer, superintendent minister, and director of lay ministries. Right Reverend Samuel Kofi Osabute had his education from 1964 to 1970 at Arakan Methodist Primary and Middle Schools, Burma Camp, and went to the Princeton Theological Seminary, New Jersey, United States of America from 1990 to 1991. Presiding Bishop, Most Reverend Titus K. Awatwe Pratt, used the occasion to call on the new bishop to lead members of the church into the kingdom of God. Right Reverend Samuel Kofi Osabute is the new bishop of Accra Diocese.
The Accra Diocese being an integral part of that vision and mission will see to it that we all fall in line with the already arranged vision and mission of the Methodist Church. During my term, I would like to see a diocese that is socially responsible, spiritually uplifting, and a diocese that is engaged with its community in all aspects of life. Take advantage of technology that we have and use it wisely to enhance their personal and spiritual life. Engagement. What we seek to do is to win these people over to Christ. But I want to emphasize that it is not an issue about human rights. It's an issue about human depravity, and we need to confront that as a community.
Wesley Methodist Cathedral, Right Reverend Samuel Kofi Osabute becomes the 5th Bishop of Wesley Methodist Cathedral.
Well, so it's time for sports now, and in sports, football experts have gathered at the Ghana Center of Excellence for the GFA 22nd Ordinary Congress. My colleague Prince Anand is standing by and takes over from the newsroom right away. So we are having difficulties getting James Annan on the line live to telecast for us what is happening at the Ghana Center for James, if you can hear me, take over now.
Soccer Center of Excellence here in Pram Pram. It's the first day of the Congress of the Ghana Football Association, the highest decision-making body. I have with me Prosper Harrison Addo. He's a member of the legal committee of the Ghana Football Association. He'll bring us up to speed with what has been happening so far. So, Prosper, from morning up to now, we had a lot of deliberations, including a few amendments. Tell us about it.
Well, this is the first day of a 2-day Congress of the Ghana Football Association. On day one, that's today, we considered the accounts of the FA. We've also considered the activity report of the FA for the period from the last Congress to this current Congress. And also there are proposed amendments which are all geared towards continuous improvement of the FA administration and governance setup. And so we've gone through half of it. After the break, we'll go and continue with the amendments to the GFA General Regulations and then the GFA Disciplinary Code. And all these amendments are discussed here. You notice that a few of them, members said I shouldn't be touched. A few too, they believe that we should improve upon it and then going forward into the 2015-2016 football season.
Obviously, the big announcement, or one of the big things that will happen at Congress, is the swearing in of the new executives of the Executive Committee of the Ghana Football Association. Will we by then know who Mr. Nyantichi's vice president will be at the Ghana Football Association?
Per the GFA statutes and regulations, tomorrow, which is day 2 of the Congress, the new executives will be sworn into office. So after the Congress, the new body will decide when they will meet. It is at their first meeting that the president of the GFA, who chairs the executive committee, will decide on the 4 people who will join him to form the emergency committee. It is in the selection of these 4 persons that he will select one of these 4 persons as his vice president. And so it has that meeting. And so it's not a Congress thing, but rather the first meeting of the executive committee.
Finally, before I let you go, do you get the reaction from the mood and the body language of delegates that all is well with this Congress?
Yes, you clearly get the mood that all is well with the GFA. Even when it comes to amendments which are controversial, the way the discussions took place and the deliberations went, the voting takes place, and those amendments which are not accepted are taken out of the proposed amendments. And so what we'll do is that when we go back, we'll do the rest of the amendments, and then the vote will be taken as to whether we should adopt the amendment. And in that, the status of the GFA, we need 75% of members present and voting to carry the amendments. Amendments are special things, and so they are provided for specially. And so you need 75% to carry it through. For other things, you just need a simple majority, more than 50%. But for amendment, you need 75%. And so we believe that if we can get that, it means that the majority of the people present at Congress are in agreement with the continuous improvement exercise we are doing. And don't forget that tomorrow there will be a lot of deliberation as to various thematic areas that the President indicated in terms of discussion about the Premier League, the administration and governance, women's football, juvenile football, and all the rest, which will form the basis for the business plan going into the next 4 years.
Prosper, thank you very much for talking to us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
We've been talking to Prosper Harrison Nado. He is a member of the Legal Committee of the Ghana Football Association and chairman of the Disciplinary Committee, bringing us up to speed with what has happened so far. There's a lot of noise and excitement at the background. They just gone on a break, and after 30 minutes, they'll be going back, we're reconvening for the continuation of the Congress. We will still be here to bring you.
Right, so that was my colleague Prince Anand reporting live from the Ghana Center of Excellence. We would be doing the international segment pretty soon. And now a gunman has launched a deadly attack in Burundi's capital, resulting in the killing of at least 9 people.
According to the mayor, 7 people were killed in an execution attack in a bar in Bujumbura on Saturday night, adding that a probe had been launched to track the assassins, with 2 others dying after their wounds. Witnesses said attackers stormed into the bar, forcing those drinking outside to enter and lie on the ground before opening fire. Meanwhile, hundreds of police and soldiers ringed the opposition flashpoint, Matukura district of Bujumbura, early on Sunday to start a widely feared crackdown, enemies of the nation.
Well, so that's all about it for this afternoon's edition of Metro News. My name is KWASI Afriyie. Thank you very much for watching, and keep watching Metro TV.